Bitcoin taking over, apparently, according to Michael Saylor. You can see Bitcoin on the daily, this dominance chart. Bitcoin dominance has been on the rise, truly has been on the rise. Is Bitcoin taking over? That's what I want to evaluate in this video. I want to give my very strong opinion on what I think. Let's start by kind of just setting some context here. And I just want to put this right out there, right off the bat. It should be noted that MicroStrategy's portfolio has grown to 140,000 Bitcoin. So Michael Saylor, his company MicroStrategy, has exposure to 140,000 Bitcoin. Let's talk about this. Is Bitcoin taking over? Let's start with a clip from Michael Saylor.
I think it's pretty clear that the regulators don't see a legitimate path forward for cryptocurrencies like the stable coins, crypto securities like the tokens mentioned. They don't have any love for crypto derivatives.
One thing I just want to point out, foundational to what he's saying here in this interview and why Bitcoin dominance is taking over, foundational to that is the fact that regulators, they just don't love crypto.
They don't have any love for crypto tokens, and they have a view of crypto exchanges which is far constrained. I mean, their view is crypto exchanges should trade and hold pure digital commodities like Bitcoin. And so the entire industry is kind of destined to be rationalized down to a Bitcoin-focused industry with maybe a half a dozen to a dozen other proof-of-work tokens.
So a half a dozen to a dozen proof-of-work tokens besides Bitcoin. That's where the crypto industry is going. Comment below right now if you agree or disagree with it. I'm very curious of your thoughts. But let's discuss what he's saying here. He's basing this solely on what has recently happened with the SEC really going after just crypto as a whole, right? Specifically certain altcoins even. He's taking this narrative that is floating through the headlines right now, and he's kind of using it to fuel this Bitcoin dominance narrative. Now, I want to kind of respond to this, and I want to do so respectfully. I just heavily disagree with everything he's saying, and I want to show you on the Bitcoin dominance chart why. I think even the chart just shows that this concept is wrong. But I do want to say, I say it respectfully. I appreciate everything Michael Saylor does for Bitcoin. I think it's great how he's been pushing Bitcoin. But at the same time, everything that Bitcoin was created for, what he's saying in this interview really kind of goes against that, right? This concept of freedom, this concept of financial sovereignty. Meaning if somebody doesn't want Bitcoin, maybe they want something like Ethereum or Cardano. That gets thrown right out the window because regulators don't love those things. It doesn't make sense to me. And I really question the fact that 140,000 Bitcoin is what Michael Saylor has. So does that play into it? I really think it does. A reminder before we even look at the Bitcoin dominance chart. This is John Deaton. I keep bringing this up. Everyone needs to remember the SEC calling an asset a security does not mean it is a security. What's transpired recently does not mean the crypto space has lost. Not only that, the United States is not the entire world. What's happening right now with regulators not loving crypto is not the rest of the world. You can see crypto hubs being set up across the world, adopting crypto innovation, not just Bitcoin, but crypto companies saying, hey, come build here. Because we're not stopping. So that plays into this as well. Bitcoin dominance isn't all of a sudden going to take over the world because the SEC doesn't love crypto. I truly just don't think that's the case. The other thing is this. We're even seeing hints of this. He actually says that here is the SEC admitting that the court decides if the SEC's claim or theory is even valid. It's the courts and it's Congress that decide these things. It doesn't matter what a regulator likes or doesn't like. And this just got kind of proven yesterday in the Binance US and the SEC Binance US case that's going on right now. As you know, SEC going to try freeze the assets of Binance US. Well, a judge basically says no. A judge basically says, hey, you guys need to come up with a deal. You need to work something out here and get back to me by Thursday. And not only that, this is even more profound. The Judge Amy Berman Jackson, expressed doubts about the SEC's approach to crypto regulation, describing it as inefficient and cumbersome. So we have a judge very objective so far, as you can see in this case, basically describing this crypto regulator as inefficient and cumbersome, their approach. At the same time, we have somebody who holds 140,000 Bitcoin using the lack of SEC's love for crypto as basically a foundational point behind why Bitcoin dominance is taking over. So now let's look at the Bitcoin dominance chart. Yes, definitely been in an uptrend. You can see that. Since September, this low back here, Bitcoin's been rising, sitting at almost 50% now. And on this chart, there's reason to believe it might actually continue going up. And I want to show you what that looks like. But more importantly, I want to zoom out on the daily chart now and kind of give you a sense of where we are. Here's the rise that Bitcoin has been in. Keep in mind, Bitcoin has kind of, within the last half a year or whatever it's been, it has kind of dominated against altcoins on this chart. But if we look at a Bitcoin chart and we go to kind of Bitcoin as a guide here, if you look at this move that we've been in coming out of this bear market, we very much have likened it to the last move out of the bear market in 2019. Notice this top here, right around June 2019, and then we retraced. Let's go look at what Bitcoin dominance was doing in this move out of the bear market last cycle. This is what it was doing. So let's go find June 2019 on this chart. It's right around here. June 2019 is right around here. So there's June 2019. At a very similar area where we are, it's kind of, we're hitting that top on the shorter term, and Bitcoin maybe even getting ready to retrace like it did back in 2019. Look at what the dominance chart did. It cruised up and then it hit a high. The one thing I want to point out, actually two things I want to point out. We're in a very similar environment exiting the bear market. Let's just first point out Bitcoin dominance this cycle around is lower than where it was then, right? It's just lower than where it was then. And not only that, this is in an environment where we do have regulators attacking a lot of crypto. We do have this fear even in the altcoin markets right now. And Bitcoin dominance is still lower than it was last cycle. What does that say? For me, that says that Bitcoin dominance, at least as of right now, is not confirming that it's taking over. Now, I know that we have this consolidation on Bitcoin dominance, and many Bitcoin dominance proponents might say, you know what, Bitcoin's just going to keep rising. We're going to get the breakout, and it's going to 80%. It could happen, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that's definitely not going to happen, but I do want to just put my case forward on why I don't see that happening. And I've kind of mentioned at different points. It doesn't matter what the regulator likes or doesn't like. It's what happens in courts. It's what happens in Congress. I don't think the innovation that is spreading within the crypto space throughout the world, outside of Bitcoin, I don't think that's just going to stop all of a sudden. And all of a sudden, the world will be just left with basically 6 to 12 cryptos. I don't think that's going to happen. We're in a tough season right now. Obviously, the altcoin market specifically, I think we're in a tough season. It might not get better in the short term. And that's why we have room to the upside, right? A continuation through this consolidation in cryptos, like we just saw on the Bitcoin dominance chart and the Bitcoin chart itself. We have room for consolidation. Altcoins could do worse than they've done recently. I get that. But I just want to put out there, everybody, respectfully, I really think it would be awesome if even the people most bullish on Bitcoin only, I think it would be awesome if they would just kind of get behind a greater narrative, which is freedom, right? I really wish they would, and that's just not what's happening. And so we'll continue tracking this. I just wanted to give my opinion and kind of put this data out there because there's been a lot of chatter about Bitcoin dominance lately. And we'll continue to track and see what happens. But this is definitely a macro conversation and not so much a shorter term conversation because, yeah, Bitcoin dominance is up, but there's also the other side of that story. Bitcoin dominance is actually also down. So it depends what chart you're looking at, and only time will tell what happens next. Everybody, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I appreciate you. Hit the subscribe for me if you're not a subscriber. I genuinely appreciate your support as I try and grow this YouTube channel objectively, unemotionally, and hit that like button on the way out. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good day, and God bless.